In the dark forest, where winds whisper secrets and branches rustle under the weight of the unknown, lived a young woman named Emily. She loved the solitude of the forest and relished in its silence, but lately, something strange had begun to happen around her. One day, during her usual walk, Emily noticed someone following her. At first glance, it seemed like just forest animals or random passers-by, but the sense of danger didn't leave her. As the evening approached and shadows grew longer, she heard rustling in the bushes and felt a chill pierce her skin. Unable to ignore her unease, Emily decided to reach out to the ranger of the forest. She described her observations, hoping it was just her imagination. But the ranger expressed serious concern and promised to conduct additional patrols in the area. Despite this, strange events continued. Emily felt like she was being followed, even when she was at home. Shadows passed by the windows, and footsteps sounded outside her door. She began to draw the curtains and lock the doors, but the sense of impending danger remained. One morning, waking up to a strange noise, Emily found a note left on the porch of her house. "You are not alone," it read in red letters. Her heart raced faster as she realized someone knew where she lived. Fearing for her safety, Emily once again turned to the ranger, who assigned her protection. But the stalker's shadow continued to loom over her like a chilling wind. Sometime later, during her daily walk, Emily heard footsteps behind her. She turned and saw a figure hidden in the shadows. Emily's heart froze as she recognized the face of her stalker. It was her ex-boyfriend, Mark, who couldn't forgive her for leaving him. Mark was obsessed with Emily, and he pursued her, hoping to make her return to him. He stalked her, waited for her at home, and even invaded her personal space. Emily realized her life was in danger, and she decided to take action. With the help of the ranger and the police, Emily set a trap for Mark. When he attempted to attack her, she called for help, and Mark was arrested. Free from the threat, Emily realized that her strength and determination helped her to face her fear and overcome the danger. She returned to her life in the forest, knowing that she was not alone anymore, and the world around her was full of support and protection. The fog tightly enveloped the streets, and the sinister glow of the lanterns only emphasized the darkness of the evening. On this night, when many families were preparing for Easter celebrations, two brothers, Damien and Elliot, set off to the supermarket for necessary supplies. The elder brother, Damien, took responsibility for the younger Elliot after the tragic death of their parents. The supermarket was already empty when they entered. Flickering lights created strange shadows, making the brothers' hearts beat faster. Soon they heard footsteps that made them stop. But the footsteps turned out to be nothing other than those of the store workers making final preparations for closing. "Do you feel it, Elliot?" Damien spoke, peering into the dark corners of the store. "Do you feel like someone is watching us?" "I don't know, Dim. Maybe it's just your imagination." Elliot replied, nervously looking around. They continued their way through the store, trying not to pay attention to their anxieties, but the shadow of a presence continued to haunt them. When they reached the egg section, they noticed a strange man standing in the shadows, watching them. He seemed unfamiliar, as if he didn't belong there. "Dim, look at that guy," Elliot whispered, clutching the shopping basket. "Do you think he's following us?" Damien squinted, trying to make out the man's face. He felt that something was off. "Maybe we're just scaring ourselves," he said, but his voice sounded uncertain. As they headed towards the checkout counters, the man also moved in their direction. Fear gripped the brothers as they realized he was following them. They quickened their pace, trying to get out of the store as fast as possible. But when they stepped out into the parking lot, the man was already there. "What do you want from us?" Damien shouted, holding Elliot's hand. The man smiled, his eyes as cold as ice. "I believe you know what I want," he said, stepping closer. In that moment, Damien understood the truth. This man wasn't just a random passerby. He was something much more dangerous. The brothers ran, but the man was faster. He caught up to them, and a struggle ensued in the parking lot. Damien and Elliot fought for their lives, but the man was stronger and hopelessly outnumbered them. In the nick of time, when all seemed lost, the police arrived, summoned by someone among the bystanders who witnessed the terrible fight. The man was arrested, but the dark shadow of his sinister presence remained. The brothers realized they had barely survived, and that danger could lurk around any corner. Now they understood that the world was much darker than they had thought, and that they would have to fight for their lives every day, never knowing when the shadow of death would try to engulf them again. This story left an unforgettable mark on them, reminding them that evil could hide in the most unexpected places, and that protecting each other was their only salvation in this dark world. Once upon a time, in a picturesque little town nestled between rolling hills and lush forests, lived a woman named Evelyn. To the outside world, Evelyn appeared to be just like any other resident of the town. Kind, polite, and always ready to lend a helping hand. But behind her friendly facade lurked a dark and obsessive secret. From a young age, Evelyn had struggled with feelings of loneliness and inadequacy. Growing up in a broken home, she found solace in the fantasy worlds of books and movies. But as she grew older, her fantasies began to exceed the bounds of imagination, and she immersed herself in a dangerous world of illusions. Evelyn was obsessed with one single thought: to find the perfect man who would completely submit to her and make her happy. She began studying the lives of local residents, monitoring their habits and schedules, and even intruding into their personal space to find out what they liked and disliked. In her eyes, every word, every gesture, every breath was scrutinized and analyzed. She meticulously delved into the hearts of each man she chose as her next target, and when she believed she had found her perfect prince, she began to closely pursue him. It started with small displays of attention, unnoticed gifts, anonymous letters, chance encounters on the street. But as her obsession intensified, her actions became increasingly aggressive and dangerous. She eavesdropped on their conversations, tracked their movements, even infiltrated their homes to learn more about her victim. She filled her own home with photographs of her objects of passion, studying every feature of their faces, every movement of their bodies, as if trying to enter their consciousness. But despite all her efforts, none of her targets could even come close to fulfilling her dreams. They felt her obsession, her aversion, her pain, and eventually they turned to the police, pursuing her for her unlawful actions. Evelyn was arrested and convicted of stalking. Even behind bars, her pursuit didn't cease. Evelyn found ways to continue her obsession. The prison walls couldn't contain her thoughts, nor could they prevent her from crafting new fantasies about her perfect prince. She began transcribing her dreams onto paper, creating passionate novels of love, hoping that someday someone would read and understand her. She wrote letters to her former objects of passion, pouring out her pain and her fantasies onto paper. She attempted to convince them of her sincerity, of her perfect love for them. Her letters caused alarm among the recipients. They were frightened by these sudden displays of passion and obsession. Some even lodged complaints with the prison administration, demanding that they cut off communication with Evelyn. However, this only fueled her obsession further. She became even more persistent, more aggressive in her attempts to reach her goal. Her fantasies turned into nightmares for her victims, making them fear for their safety. Eventually, her letters were confiscated, and she was deprived of the right to communicate with the outside world. But this didn't stop her. She continued to devise new plans, new schemes, new ways to infiltrate the lives of her targets. Even when she was transferred to solitary confinement, her thoughts remained filled with dreams of her perfect prince. She believed that someday her dreams would come true, that someone would finally understand and accept her. But in the real world, her dreams were a curse. She was confined behind bars, where there was no room for fantasies and illusions. Her victims continued their lives, freed from the shadow that had long pursued them. And Evelyn remained in her world of illusions, mired in her fantasies, deprived of freedom and brought to repentance for her sins.